So as was mentioned by Kate, we use anchor papers from the task website. And one of the things that we wanted to model for the participant was how to get students to synthesize information, how to get them to pull out things that make sense to them and rephrase it in a way that makes sense to them. So what we did is we took a paragraph from the argumentative essay and modeled for them how I pulled out, how I made sense of what I was reading. And I wanted to point it out to them that the entire essay took the length of this paper, but notice some of the ideas I pulled out was just about this much. And then, okay, so now I've pulled out my ideas. What do I do with it? I need some way to organize that information. So in order to do that, they need to have some tool or some way to get students to take this information and put it in a way that makes sense for them. So I modeled how, for me, I would use just two circles and put pro and con, and then take some of my ideas from here and chart them on here so that it'll help me produce a piece of writing. I need some way to organize that information. So for me, I know it's about the library. There's a pro about the library. There's a con about the library. And I need to decide how much information I'm going to use. So for me, I know that from what my teachers taught me, I need to make sure I have an intro, I have to have some details, I have to have some conclusions. So I know that I need to collect enough information to help me achieve that goal. So I've decided this is the way I'm going to organize my information. I'm just going to, two bubbles, pro, con. And what was also helpful is to get them to see that what are the things I did as I was reading this text so that it made sense to me? And that as teachers, they need to make that explicit to students. So if you notice, it talked about I started by looking at the structure. I used my background knowledge, which is what you want students to do about the text structure. I set a purpose for reading. So I'm not just reading and waiting for the information to come to me, but I'm going in with a specific purpose. And and also the importance of not insisting on every word you have to understand, because they're going to be texts that you're given, you're not going to understand everything that's written there. But what do I understand and what can I make sense of as I'm reading that? And then ultimately, as students move to the place of writing, sometimes they need assistance. They need sentence starters. So depending on the level of student you're working with, you might need to start by giving them sentence starters, such as the article states that, the article points out that, according to. So it's important that students have sentence starters to kind of guide them when they're writing, depending on where they are. Part of the reason we spent so much time on looking at a piece of portion of the text is that there's a lot of turnover in the field, and new teachers coming in sometimes assume that, hey, they're adults, they already know how to do this, and we can't assume anything. So it's contingent upon us to be explicit in showing students and demonstrating for students, modeling for them how to unpack text. So we can't impress upon you enough that it's important that you model for students how to unpack a piece of text. Like if you look at this page, it has information according to the fiscal year 2000. You assume that you would know what information is extraneous and what information is important. You can't assume that students know that. It's important that you explicitly unpack this for students.